Hi, good night, everyone. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments. And tonight I have a topic that I want to talk to you about. And that is, what if you are denied at your interview? What if you are denied at your final interview? What options do you have in a situation like that? So when I talk about this interview, it's the permanent residence interview. And usually what happens is there's some sort of missing evidence, or there is a basis for inadmissibility, or you may not have convinced the officer that you have a bona fide marriage. And so you would definitely have to first make sure you seek legal advice about what options you should pursue, because those options are really going to depend on the reason that your application was denied. But let me talk about a particular scenario that I think would be helpful and some options that you could pursue. So what if you went into a marriage-based interview and you were denied? Eventually you were denied. How can you fix the situation? If your marriage is really bona fide, this is a real marriage, the officer just wasn't convinced, that does happen. What can you do to fix the situation? So one is you could appeal. However, appeals may be difficult to get just depending on what happened. So if you could find where there was an error made, or an error in law made, then, or some sort of other not so correct information, so something that was false, that a misunderstanding, perhaps this could be a way you pursue an appeal. However, you may have to appeal, not appeal, but reapply altogether. It just depends. Whether you can reapply, whether you can pursue an appeal is really going to depend on what the basis is. Sometimes the officer is correct, and sometimes you have to pursue other options, just because an appeal may not work. Even reapplying may not work. Reapplying may not work where the officer is correct and you're just going to get another denial. However, in the case where it's a bona fide marriage, the officer just wasn't convinced and outright denied your application, then in a case like that, you could appeal or reapply. Now, keep in mind that this is general information and it's not personal legal advice. So if you're going through a situation like this, rule number one is get legal advice, because there may be a solution, but the solutions I'm saying here may not be, whether you apply, whether you appeal, is going to depend on your particular facts. Can I call you for a consultation? So Ezra, absolutely. So you can call 561-405-4889. You'll also see the number all over my videos. And if you go to the link in my bio, you will go to the website and you can find it there. So I filed for an expedited EAD request and haven't gotten a response yet. It's been over 36 days already. So yes, when you submit an employment authorization request, you should check on it. They usually tell you how long until you will hear from them. If you haven't heard from them within that time, definitely call. Use that service number that they gave you. They usually give you a service number. Make sure you have that available. Call back, see if what the status of that employment authorization expedite request. Now, keep in mind that it's difficult to get expedited EAD requests, and you have to meet certain criteria to be able to get it. And so if you want legal advice, definitely call, schedule a consultation, and we can talk through this. I've been in America since 2000. I have before that withheld green card. Now it's been expired 10 years. So So it sounds like you were here, and so I have been in America since 2000. I have, okay. So if your dad withheld your permanent residence and it is now expired and you're in the United States, then you could very well, you may be able to fix the situation by applying for your own green card, but it depends on your age, what's going on, what are the circumstances. That's where a consultation is very important, because when a green card is expired, it does not mean, and that's if you are already here in the US. It sounds like you've been here since 2000. If your permanent residence is expired, it doesn't mean that you stop being a permanent resident. And so if you had your 10-year green card and it's now expired, you didn't lose permanent residence. You can possibly apply again and get it renewed and get a card to come to you directly. Now, Ezra, I definitely urge you to get in touch with me so I can evaluate your situation in a personal consultation and then assist you to get it should everything line up and you qualify to get it renewed and get a card back. Because when it expires, it just means that you don't have proof that you're a permanent resident, but it does not mean that you have lost permanent residence. In order to officially lose permanent residence, you would have had to go through deportation proceedings and you'd have had to have an order of deportation against you. So schedule a consultation. I urge you to do that because you may have a solution here. It's really going to depend on your age and what happened, what the facts are, and to determine whether you can pursue this option. So how long does it take for an I-130 to be approved for an LPR child under 21? So prepare for an 18-month process on average. It could go up to 24 months, and it also depends on the service center. So Ezra 1451, I would definitely love to help you. So call the number. You can go to the link in my bio. It'll take you to the website where the phone number is there. There is an online contact form. If you call the number or fill out that form, a scheduling coordinator will definitely get back to you tomorrow on the next business day. Martha is a green card holder and she filed for me. I'm gonna be 25 soon, but we don't know the status. So once your mom files for you as a green card holder and you're 21 or over, then it's a 5 to 6 year process. And so a 5 to 6 year process from the time that she's applied. So you should look at the priority date on the petition, the I-130. So the I-797C, it's going to have your priority date. And you can tell based on that date if your date was 5 years ago that she filed, you could very well be able to see your process finish out soon because it's taking 5 to 6 years. So hi there, 485 marriage-based green card. How long takes the maximum and the minimum and the maximum? So now it really depends on the range of time that your service center is taking. Now, based on my experience and my observations, I'm seeing an average of about 1.5 to 2 years. So 18 months to 2 years, I've seen it as fast as 9 months, 10 months. Most of those though were pre-COVID, but I'm seeing an average of 1.5 years. So you should prepare for that, the process to take that long. As a matter of fact, they're extending green cards to 2-year green cards just because the processing times of permanent residence is taking about that long. So that is the time range that you should be looking at. But to get a precise range of time, you could go to uscis.gov. If you look at case processing times, you will see the range of time at the service center based on the form that you submitted. After I-130 approval, how long after for fingerprints? So, Pamela, if you're here in the United States, usually the fingerprints come before even the I-130 approval. However, it might be a situation where your approval has come before the biometrics appointment. So that's unusual to get the I-130 before you go for your biometrics appointment. So it would be hard for me to tell you, give you some time, because right now I'm seeing an average of 3 to 4 months to get the biometrics appointment, just because things are really backlogged right now. Samantha 68, thanks for sharing the live. Are there any places in the USA that help a dual citizen wanting to return to the US starting from scratch? So that that would really depend on why you're coming here. If you're coming here for school, maybe there are scholarships. If you are trying to run away from a bad situation, maybe there are organizations that help with that. However, that would not be a type of immigration issue that I deal with. I'm living in the Caribbean and I applied for a visitor's visa in the American embassy. They denied me 3 times. So Fiona, I'm so sorry that you have to be facing these denials repeatedly, and if the officer did not state, usually the most common reason for a denial is that the officer isn't convinced that you have strong ties to your home country. And if they're not convinced that you have strong ties, meaning those strong ties means you have such strong commitments that you will return, the officer is convinced that you will return after a temporary visit to the United States, they'll deny it. And so strong ties are going to be, it's going to be property, assets, a long-standing job, maybe school that you're in, and you're highly invested in the program. It's going to be strong family ties. So, for example, children that may not have their visas, or a husband that may not have his visa. So that may be the reason, and that's probably where you have to really evaluate and strengthen the evidence that you take in. So do you also help with family cases? Ex-husband married back home in Iraq, previous wife sent. So definitely, now Ezra, if you're talking about family cases, if this is family as in this is divorce, I don't do divorces or custody issues or anything like that. However, if this is a family-based immigration issue and the root of it is you're trying to resolve an immigration issue, then definitely you can get in touch with me, schedule a consultation. Are the embassies currently issuing work permit? What's the duration? So Miss Ocean, to you, the embassy does not issue work permits. So the work permit is different from employment-based visas. Now it depends on what's going on at each embassy right now. What's the COVID situation? What are their procedures to determine what's the timeline for an employment-based visa? But that's what you'd call it. When you're outside of the US, you want to come here to work. These are employment visas. And it's really whether they're issuing them, how long they're issuing those is really going to depend on what type of visa you're applying for. There are so many different types, and it depends on what are the needs of the employer, what are your qualifications to be able to get that, what is the cutoff time, are they allowing more individuals, because some even have a numerical limit. And so the duration of time, whether they're issuing these visas, is going to depend. Now, work permits is a type of permission. So they're issued on little cards, like sort of like an ID card. And it is for individuals who qualify and they're here in the United States. They're applying for an immigration benefit or a form of relief while they're in the United States. Some of these application processes allow individuals to apply for a work permit, get a work permit while they wait, or if they get the immigration relief, they can work on a work permit. However, when you're outside of the US, you don't get issued a work permit. So Ray of Sunshine, so you're coming for school, but I don't see. Okay, so you're coming for school. So if you're coming for school, you should See if there are scholarships available to you to be able to help you to get settled in and to afford your cost of living. So is there a work permit I could get while on filing? So if you're filing for adjustment of status, now unique Renee, if you're outside of the United States, you don't get a work permit. You usually, once the whole process is complete, you go to the embassy for the interview. You'll get an immigrant visa. Once you land in the airport or get to the border, they'll process you. And once you get across, you'll become a permanent resident. However, they don't issue work permits to those who are waiting on the outside of the U.S. If you're here and you're filing for adjustment of status, then there is the work permit option. However, to determine whether you in particular could apply for it while you're waiting for your filing, I would have to do a consultation with you to determine that. And now, if you're applying here, you don't qualify for adjustment of status, a work permit would not be, you wouldn't qualify for a work permit. However, if you're applying for VAWA, for example, you could apply for your own work permit. So will I be deported if someone report me from another country to immigration? So I definitely would not guarantee that you couldn't get deported, because if they do report you, they may very well take that as a credible report and look into it further. So it could be a possibility. I've seen individuals' visas get revoked or canceled because of reports like this. Cecilia Baker, hi, thanks for sharing the live. Real Sunshine, you're welcome. How long after you get married can you request a work permit? So the work permit, you couldn't just request a work permit right after getting married alone. The work permit doesn't usually work like that, where you can apply for it by itself. You have to be applying for something else that allows you to get the work permit while the process is pending, or that allows you to get the work permit right after it's been approved. So for example, if you're applying for adjustment of status in the United States through your US citizen spouse, then you could apply for the work permit along with the other applications that you have to submit. Vibes Cartel Vine, schedule a consultation because you want guidance to make sure that you are doing everything correctly, that you're taking advantage of all the benefits that are available to you while applying for permanent residence. So been waiting 2 years plus for a work permit, Shen 2512. It shouldn't take that long. So you definitely want to schedule a consultation to figure out what's going on. Work permits don't usually take 2 years. That is very excessive, especially if you've applied. Now, work permits are not issued automatically. You have to apply for it. So you have to include the work permit application along with the other filings that you're doing. If you don't, they'll never issue you a work permit. So I'm from Jamaica. Is it possible to apply for a visa or just wait till next year? So they're not issuing visas right now. Based on the last time I checked, they're only issuing them on an emergency basis. So you'd have to keep checking. Right now, they're not doing that. Cecilia, thanks again. Vibes Cartel Vine, you are welcome, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you. Is there any other way I can live in the U.S. without getting married or get filed for? So if you have other family members, so here are the major ways that you could qualify to get permanent residence in the U.S. is through an employer, through family. So not just a spouse, but do you have a U.S. citizen parent? Do you have a U.S. citizen son or daughter who's 21 and up? Do you have, are you the son or daughter of a U.S. citizen who is under 21 and unmarried? Are you the son or daughter of a green card holder? Are you the spouse of well, you said without getting married. So we won't get into any relationships that you can apply for through a permanent resident. But others is, are you the sibling of a U.S. citizen? So those, and are you the son or daughter of a U.S. citizen and you're married? You can still be married to someone else and apply. But The range of times, the length of time that these processes take vary. Most take years to go through. If you're the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, that means you're the spouse of a U.S. citizen, the parent of a U.S. citizen who's 21 and up, or the son or daughter of a U.S. citizen who is under 21 and unmarried, then you could be looking at a shorter time, but the rest of the times are longer. So Shenchen2512, thank you. I did apply with everything else, but will definitely book with you. Yes, definitely. That's a great idea. Highly recommended. So my brother is a citizen, but my mom is a green card holder. Who is better to file for me? So at this point, a green card holder parent would be better as long as you're unmarried. Because it's a 5 to 6 year process. If you're 21 and over, it's a 2-year, an 18-month to 2-year process if you're under 21 and unmarried. For U.S. citizen siblings, it is taking a minimum of 14 years. If you're, for example, in Jamaica, if you're in Mexico, it's taking upwards of 20 years. Or if you're a citizen of Mexico, or if you're a citizen of Jamaica. So generally in the Caribbean, it's 14 years. So a very long time. Both take long, but your green card holder parent sponsoring you definitely would be the better here. Does your spouse having a felony or pending felony affect your filing? It could if they, so they have the Adam Walsh Act. And under that act, they have prohibited certain individuals who have committed crimes against individuals, so crimes against children or violent crimes against other individuals. They have prohibited individuals like that from petitioning for their spouse just because they see it as a risk. That could be a risk to the immigrant who they're sponsoring. So for example, like with kidnapping or a felony like that, that could definitely cause them to be prohibited from filing for you. J. Neal, this is very fact specific, and that's where it's very important to schedule a consultation and make sure that your spouse will not be disqualified from applying for you. What is the time frame for NVC to make appointments at the embassy at this time? So, it varies right now. Unfortunately, I wish I could give you a timeline. We're seeing anywhere from 3 months to even a year for them to finally make the appointment. So, it really depends. What you could do, there is a site where you could go. So I believe if you go to the National Visa Center, they have a type of tool that you can look to see how long they're taking. This is a general tool, not just specific to a particular embassy, but in general. So you can look to see what their timeline is, how long they take to actually schedule the interviews. So keep those questions coming. So I was talking previously about the possibility of being denied at your green card interview. What are the options after a denial? Now, your options are going to vary depending on the facts and the reason for the denial. So, for example, in marriage-based cases where you were denied because the officer wasn't convinced that it was a bona fide marriage, there could be the possibility to appeal, or it may just make more sense to just reapply with better evidence showing that you have a bona fide marriage. Now, keep in mind that this is general information. You should not act on this information until you speak with me in a personal consultation or consult an immigration attorney, because this is complex stuff, and the solution to your particular question is going to depend, or your particular issue is going to depend on the particular facts. For example, if you were not denied on the basis of it being that the officer wasn't convinced it was a bona fide marriage, then was it based on being inadmissible? In this case, would a waiver fix things? And you may then have to apply for a waiver to be able to go back and get the permanent residence. So as you can see, the solutions are, it's going to depend, the solution after a denial is going to depend on what happened. And in some cases, you may not be able to reapply. You may not qualify at all. But it's important to figure out whether you have options, and that's where it's important to get a personal consultation. You can do that by going to the link in my bio, and when you go there, you can go to the website. You will see the phone number, you will see the contact form. You can fill out a contact form, and it goes straight to the scheduling coordinator, who will then call you on the next business day, which will be tomorrow. All right, so that is all I have for you tonight. I will be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time. It has been a pleasure to answer your questions. Now, I am not completely finished though. I'm just heading over to Instagram, where I have a live that's scheduled there as well. So our conversation really doesn't have to end here. You can hop on over there and continue the conversation, especially if for some reason I missed your question. Cecilia Baker, you're welcome. Hi there, Chocolate 3185. Nice to see you. You can head on over to Instagram by going to the link in my bio, and you will see the Instagram button. If the Instagram button doesn't work, it works for me, but sometimes some people say it doesn't work. So Nash X Hey, it's The Immigration Attorney, same as here on TikTok. So The Immigration Attorney on Instagram. You can go there, follow me, and just wait until I get there. I'm going to get there in a minute, where we can continue to have this conversation. Also, I release most of my many videos on Instagram that talk about issues that may be affecting you. It answers questions. So if you want to get more information about different topics, especially when it comes to being undocumented and how to fix your status, and various options to get permanent residence, you can follow me on Instagram, and you'll see those videos throughout the day, where you can get tidbits of information. But right now, hop on over to Instagram, where I can speak with you. Also, if you can't hop on over to Instagram, then guess what? I will be back here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time, as I am every night. So I will see you tomorrow, where I can answer your questions. Now, if you know you will need a consultation, just go to the link in my bio, go to the website, call the phone number. It's a 24/7 phone number, or you can fill out the contact form. See you in a minute on Instagram, or see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. Have a good night, everyone.